You have $1 billion from selling your logistics company when a fuel stop pulls your launch beside a dying island resort. A customs delay sends you into the old arrivals pavilion, and the clerk slides over the original brass island key. Your thumb catches salt in the key groove while empty hooks show how many guests stopped coming. The resort has history, but history without water, payroll, and safe arrivals sells for scrap. You pocket the key only after the clerk says staff wages are late. Payroll fear sends you to the staff village for lunch. Beside the notice board, a cook admits the canteen has 2 days of rice left. A line worker may earn $20,000 a year, but housing and meals decide whether that wage holds a family. You buy lunch for the whole canteen. The steward keeps one hand on the serving spoon. That meal buys no asset, yet it shows you which people still care. A loaded laundry sack splits on the service road, and you pay the supplier before asking who owns the resort. Your driver opens the van, while staff bicycles lean beside carts that should move clean sheets. Island hospitality dies first in the service road, long before a guest complains at dinner. The housekeepers stop whispering. A ruined guest book page turns purchase into responsibility. You call the owner before the island leaves your head. Your lawyer brings the title deed to the survey table, and you set the brass key beside the coastal charts. The seller wants rescue language. You demand foreshore rights, dock approvals, staff obligations, and clear access. You take control for about $80 million. That price leaves room for the rebuild, and the rebuild will decide the fortune. The title changes hands, but the island still belongs to whoever can keep it running. Before beach work starts, you commission the audit inside the generator shed. Engineers mark night outages while divers bring coral slates back wet. Your coastal lawyer lays coral overlays on the chart and marks where one careless boat can destroy value. Bad islands hide costs in romance. Your first win comes from learning carrying capacity before architects spend it. You reopen the old arrivals pavilion as a heritage house for controlled paid stays. Former guests sign the register while trusted travel advisors test hot water, boat timing, privacy, and dinner pacing. Small paid stays expose failures cheaper than a grand opening. A former guest touches the brass key and books another week. Credibility returns in receipts, not speeches. You repair desalination, storage, and leaks so rooms can sell without apologies. Your engineer brings batteries and solar online, cutting diesel risk, night noise, and fuel barge exposure. You rebuild the seaplane pontoon around the guest's first 10 minutes. Staff move fuel drums from the walking path while captains time luggage, customs, shade, and bad weather transfers. A luxury island loses the sale before check-in if arrival feels like cargo handling. Older guests start saying yes. Celebrity security teams stop crossing the island off. You hire the general manager in the training room and hand her the service manual. She has run remote islands where privacy, payroll, boats, kitchens, staff beds, and storms collide before breakfast. The manual stays closed under her palm. Her authority costs your ego, but the island gains an operator who can refuse your bad ideas. You build the staff campus before more guest villas. On Founders Row, you repair the louvered shutter instead of erasing the old villa. The shutter swings over cracked terrazzo, and former guests recognize the honeymoon view. Memory becomes inventory when guests can sleep inside it. Your plumbers hide new pipes behind old walls. Founders Row sells story without pretending decline never happened. Your gardeners plant mangroves that cut import needs and hold the dune. At the kitchen pass, the chef writes legal dayboat fish beside herbs grown on the island. You approve mainland farmers, breadfruit, coconut, rum, and open-fire beach cooking as the house language. Generic luxury food makes a private island forgettable. The Reef Fish Board gives travel advisors a story they can sell. Guests pay more when dinner belongs to the place. Your apprenticeships turn wages into local loyalty. Inside the storm bunker, your security chief places a confiscated phone beside satellite gear. You approve guest aliases, crew phone rules, villa routing, and yacht approach protocols as operating law. Privacy is the product rich guests cannot test until someone fails. The room goes quiet. Family offices return only when discretion feels trained into the staff. At the flagship villa site, you pull extra survey stakes from the view corridor. Fewer roofs create larger gaps, better silence, and rates built on guests never seeing strangers. The silt fence protects both the reef and the price. A planner frowns at the lost keys. Scarcity earns more than crowding on a private island. North Island wins the conservation luxury story before your advisors arrive. On the beach club deck, a travel advisor leaves a note praising their reef work. Your storm lanterns burn over empty chairs. A rival with moral proof cannot be beaten by a bigger villa. That loss stings because top advisors sell stories before rates. Your invitation-only relaunch turns working proof into a wait list. In the conservation lab, you fund the reef map as a business protection tool. Water samples line up beside seagrass charts while the scientist names anchor scars, turtle roots, and no-take zones. Reef health protects beaches, dives, fisheries, and permission to charge island prices. Guests can forgive expense. Guests do not forgive damage sold as sanctuary. Your sales director enters private client channels and makes full island buyouts frequent. The dive captain lays children's fish ID cards near the tanks before a returning family boards. You store allergies, boats, pillow choices, snorkel lessons, and the captain each child trusts. A discount cannot steal a remembered child. The mother notices before lunch. Repeat guests turn occupancy into a habit, not a campaign. Your place-rooted wellness program lengthens off-season stays. Inside the hurricane room, you test the satellite phone beside the brass key. Roll call sheets, water reserves, shutters, and backup kitchens show staff, families, and guests that the island can hold. Insurers price confidence as much as concrete. Event planners ask fewer nervous questions. Storm readiness becomes revenue before the storm arrives. At the villa site, you point to the planning model and cap residences before buyers get loud. Few roofs sit behind conservation buffers, and the resort keeps rental rules, service standards, and architecture control.
Residence money can finance infrastructure, but owners can poison a flagship if they govern the place. The model stays sparse. You choose slower capital over a subdivision. Your conservation week gives guests a reason to return. Captains brief beside the pump hose, and yachts enter without filling beds. On the mangrove boardwalk, the master designer crouches beside shadecloth and reads the wind and the roots. You give the architect one order: make new buildings disappear into salt, shade, and contour. Salt eats vanity fast. The design language ties cottages, spa, staff areas, and trails into one calm world. Guests remember the island, not the architecture trying to be remembered. At the Turtle Beach, you stand behind the rope while red lights hold guests back. The nest marker teaches the brand lesson: protected areas earn more trust than another deck. Children whisper instead of posing. Ownership talk fades when guests see rules that even you obey. The island starts selling stewardship, with proof in the sand. You lock the master key in the archive so the island can remember itself. A cold towel reaches the first world-scale buyout guest at the main jetty. Luggage carts roll behind linen-clad staff with no fuel smell, no waiting line, and no visible panic. The island can host a wedding, board retreat, or family holiday without feeling invaded. Privacy now has choreography. The richest guests pay for the absence of friction. Winter advisors choose your approach channel for privacy. North Island takes the Eco-Luxury Award, while your scientists keep measuring. At the Coral Nursery, a dive slate records growth that no award committee has noticed. Advisor calls cool within a week. The general manager does not flinch. You learn that recognition follows evidence only after enough people repeat the evidence.
A diver lifts a broken coral head, and you fire the contractor before lunch.
The barge scar looks small on the map, but huge inside the island's promise. Regulators slow future approvals after one careless anchor. Your conservation partner folds her clipboard. Money can fund repair, money cannot make the reef instantly unbroken. Mooring buoys earn partners back one dive at a time. Your hidden plunge pools beat Maldives' sameness with story. In the cold room, the provisions chief labels a pillow for a returning child after a long-haul family confirms. Baby food, reef-safe sunscreen, and birthday fruit sit beside champagne, all tied to one family's habits. Distance stops mattering when the island remembers better than a closer resort. The child asks for the same captain. Family loyalty becomes a route competitors cannot shorten. Captain's logs put the island inside luxury routes. In the training room, staff gather as the watch list announcement plays and the old register lies open.
A young housekeeper holds her training certificate, while the general manager stands at the back. Recognition lands better when staff can see their own climb inside it. Nobody cheers first. Then, apprentices clap for the gardeners, captains, cooks, and engineers who made the award believable. You overrule the general manager and approve too many white roofs. The crowded shoreline model pushes the brass key toward the table edge. More rentable villas look sensible until sight lines, turtle darkness, cart traffic, and staff minutes disappear. The general manager's jaw locks. For the first time, your money starts making the island worse. Senior staff leave when her perfectionism burns through them. Abandoned staff bicycles line the service road where laundry carts used to move before dawn. The general manager protected standards, yet she hid burnout until department heads stopped answering calls. Service culture walks out quietly. Replacing a captain takes longer than buying a new launch. At the staff village, the community meeting notice covers the faded resort job advertisement. You read the words, extraction machine, while cooks, deckhands, gardeners, and parents stand close enough to hear your breathing. Higher wages cannot buy belonging on command. Local leaders want promoted apprentices, respected fishing routes, fair suppliers, and managers who listen before designing. The island you rescued now questions whether rescue made it yours. Elders point to crab holes where your signs blocked fishing paths. You hand the first aid drill to local supervisors before any expansion crew returns. The first aid dummy takes orders from apprentices who once carried bags, and older staff stop looking past them. Authority has to be visible. Promotion changes the cost base because trained locals stay longer than imported managers who burn out offshore. Your provisions chief gives mainland suppliers priority contracts with fair terms packed in dry ice. A hurricane tears the pavilion roof open and cancels the season. Your brass key sits on the wet reception desk while weddings, buyouts, and winter weeks leave the calendar in one morning. Lost season revenue hurts, but staff watching their homes flood becomes the test no rate card solves. The old arrivals pavilion goes quiet. You move the chainsaw rack aside and give staff families the storm bunker before guests hear a reopening date. Children sleep beside water reserves while engineers count fuel, and every paid room waits behind the staff roll call. Payroll keeps running through closure because a trained island crew costs less than rebuilding loyalty from zero. Families come first. Staff tie fenders first, then guests return to the jetty. North Island cannot copy apprentices tagging seabirds beside your scientists. You cancel the celebrity buyout when Turtle Week needs the nesting beach dark. The red light torch stays low in your hand, and invited guests wait behind rope instead of buying closer access. One lost buyout costs less than teaching advisors that your sanctuary promise bends for famous names. The beach stays dark. You pull the villa plan back from the sanctuary shoreline before crews pour footings. A silt fence flaps beside protected trees while your architect crosses rentable roofs off the model. Scarcity raises the villa rate only if guests believe the empty view will stay empty. Fewer roofs win. Seychelles praises restoration, while your water samples outrank ownership talk. You stage the private event on the beach club deck without letting the party swallow the island. Ice buckets reach tables through hidden service routes, while captains keep tenders on reef-safe moorings. A world-scale event pays because guests buy total control without seeing the machine that protects their privacy. No one invades the nesting beach. The archive supports about $4 billion in irreplaceable trust, protected ecology, scarce villas, loyal families, and trained local leaders. Your numbered coral fragment grows where the purchase once took from. You unlock the old arrivals pavilion and place the brass key beside the cracked guest register. Former guests sign near new families, and apprentices who became supervisors greet arrivals by name. The island you bought as a resort now runs as a protected hospitality brand that rivals cannot purchase. That trust made the island worth more before you returned the key than when you held it alone. The same arrivals pavilion where decline first showed through the cracked guest register now holds the brass key in glass beside living signatures.